So, a lot of development happening all over the world, and some very, very scary things are happening. And when we say scary, we talk more. Look, I mean, health is a scary thing. Death is not a nice thing. One life lost is too many. But how the markets are changing, how the financial implications are going to start happening. One of the things that surprised me a lot is the lack of information and lack of knowledge when I talk to a lot of people. And it's something that people need to do is educate themselves, understand what the impact is going to be, and how can they get ahead of it. We've said it again that it's been going on now in other countries. We'll see what's happening. It is not going to miss us. It's going to hit us. It's just a question of time, and it's when and how hard, and what is the impact going to be at the end of the day on us. And we need to get ahead of it. We need to understand. We need to understand what's happening around us. I mean, Italy, complete shutdown, well, quarantine of 60 million people. United States has just made a statement that from Friday, 12 o'clock, restrictions between the United States traveling and Europe. We are seeing a lot of schools in Europe closing down, and people are creating a massive, massive concern of what the implications are. Businesses are starting to fall into trouble, shortages of things starting to happen. But what I've come to realize is so many people just don't understand what is happening. Most people, when you talk to them, it's just a flu, it's going to get past that. We've never seen something like this. Forget about, if you want to compare it to the flu, we're talking about the financial implications. I mean, it's been years and years and years. Most people, new business people, or people who have been in business for over the last 20 years, haven't seen this, haven't experienced this. Things are changing. You've got to be asking yourself the questions that if your business gets put under quarantine and you're working for a company, and like they're doing overseas, and you can't work from home, are you going to have a job? What are you going to do? You need to be communicating. And we say three things, and I'm going to repeat myself again. Save your money, use it wisely, pay off debt, and don't panic. So that's why you take the information, you learn what the information, you've got to understand the information, then you learn it and you ask what type of impact it will have on me. I mean, I give you down to the smallest person. You might be going to gym and you are paying a fee of 500 Rand a month. Now, all of a sudden, all schools and gyms are closed down. What is the implication if you can't go to gym for 2 weeks or a month? Should you be paying that 500 Rand? What's the implication? You are paying for school tours. What will happen if you cancel? You're paying for extra murals for your kids. What happens if schools are closed and you can't go to those extra murals? People aren't asking those questions, but they will be asking those questions as soon as it hits them, and then it's already too late because they haven't prepared themselves and they haven't asked those questions. And once again, they haven't put those questions forward so those people can start thinking how they're going to answer you. I have friends, I have family all over the world, and I talk to them on a daily basis with some of my friends and family, and I'm getting a first hand of what some people are going through. I've got friends that have got businesses abroad, and they are really struggling and having a tough time, and they're going to readjust. And you need to not panic, because panic makes you make silly mistakes. But you need to understand the information. You need to get the information, understand the information, understand the impact that the information will eventually have on you once you understand it, and what are you going to do about it. But it affects each and every one of us in one way or another. It will affect you. And we wish that everybody could stay healthy, but it's affecting the elderly people. What happens if you've got elderly people staying with you? What happens? You've got to be asking those questions. We are seeing it. There's a massive panic between the elderly people. I could imagine what insurance companies are going. I mean, they expected a certain life expectancy on people, and people start passing away due to this new complication. It has so much implications on so many different things. People don't understand the information. People don't educate their people around them, but also people aren't asking, because people say that, and a lot of people are saying this, that people are overreacting. But schools are being shut down. Travel restrictions are in place. It's affecting the elderly people. Most monies are going to be put in healthcare and fixing this type of problem. So we're not going to see money getting put into growth in tourism. Hospitalities are going to be affected in a massive way. I mean, the hospitality industry, they're not thinking about it. What happens when companies start saying you can't travel? We're cutting those trips. What are those hospitalities going to do? We're seeing the airlines are in trouble. So I'll give you an example. I mean, I've spoken to at least about 6-7 businesses in the last 48 hours. They're already talking on retrenchments because they need to start looking at what they're going to do because they can't get through it. Most people, if they don't understand the information, they'll end up in the panic stage, and that's where the mistakes happen. So understand the information, see how it's going to affect you, but the little things count. And like I gave you an example, you might be going to gym and you can't go for a month. Should you be paying that extra money? Your kids are going on tours. Should you be paying that money, or is there a guarantee of a refund? Should you be sending your kids? They've said that certain places in Europe that they don't want gatherings more than 1,000 people. We're seeing football matches. We're seeing games that are being played now without spectators. All these things have an effect. We see restaurants that have got curfews or times that they have to close. Now, we can see all this information and we are not acting on it. And the people who are acting on it are going to get ahead of it. They're going to get ahead of it. They're going to prepare themselves, and they are eventually, we will win the fight. No doubt about that. We will win the fight at the end of the day. But why not prepare yourself in a better way? Information is crucial. I mean, yesterday I heard Clicks talking about the sanitizer. They are putting out statements there. They are letting the public know that they are working on it. That's what should be happening, and that's how businesses are getting ahead of it. So the businesses that are understanding the problem, they are putting their statements, they are getting ahead. I saw yesterday the airlines, Emirates, they have made a video clip on how they're sanitizing the planes. What are they doing to secure safety of their passengers? So people are getting ahead of the problem and trying to minimize the damages. But we see now in South Africa, we have 13 cases at this point in time. The thing is that if you are not doing tests of thousands per day, you will not see that number growing at a massive rate. But the more infections we have and we start to investigate the people around those people, the more we are going to see it. It's happening in every single country in the world. Once you start increasing on the testing, then all of a sudden you see how many people are infected. So we are just sitting on a question of time. I mean, I'll give you an example. Your kids go to school, you're two parents working, or you're a single parent working. What happens if the schools get shut down and for 2 weeks kids have to come home? How are you going to look after your children? Who's going to look after your children? Are you in the financial position to hire somebody? How is the impact of people being affected? Would you want to send your child there? These are questions that you have to be asking, not ignoring this. Be prepared, plan, and then you don't end up in a panic stage. So things are happening, and they are actually happening at a massive rate now, because obviously we've heard now that this has become more serious. And people are just saying, but people haven't died so as much as the flu, and forget about all of that. Look at the financial implications. And at the end of the day, how's it going to affect you? And it will affect you in one way or another. Let's just say your child, again, can't go on tours. What happens to that money that you've paid? Parents have paid money for their kids for certain things. What happens to that? What happens to people that can't offer value to their jobs because they are not able to be at work for some other reason? That is now what we need to be asking ourselves. How are we going to get ahead of this? What is the game plan? Information is crucial. Panic is crucial, that we do not panic. Panic is a bad thing. But when you don't accept the information and you shut yourself off from the information and you don't understand it and react on it correctly, it will create the panic. And I'm seeing it more and more because as I'm putting my clips out, I'm seeing more views on my clips. I'm interacting more with people and I'm getting asked more questions. And that is what it's about. For me, it's about just educating people. If I can help one person, you know what, I'm so happy to be able to help that one person. But I can see it. I have friends, I have families all over the world. I talk to them on a daily basis. I am getting information from people that I know, not just the media, and I'm understanding what the impact is. And I know it's a question of time before it comes here. I mean, I remember a couple of days ago, I would see our president just walking around normally. Now I see him with a mask, with the gloves, so you can actually see that things are starting to escalate. We're down to 13 now. You'll see that number rising much more once we're doing more tests. And the wonderful people that are offering those services are paramedics, our doctors, our nurses, our health sector. People just don't understand the impact, because at the end of the day, if that sector gets so overwhelmed with thousands of people coming that are infected, it affects emergencies that start to happen because the hospitals are running at such a capacity. And now you've got, for instance, a doctor that gets infected or a nurse that gets infected, and they can't help other people. That sector gets put under so much pressure. Those people are being worked to the bone. And at the end of the day, they're just human beings. They can only be pushed so far. And when they get ill, there's again, more people have to pick up for them. And that is what a lot of people don't understand, the impact that it does have. And look around you, understand the information. Nobody says you must be negative. Nobody says you must be negative. Understand the information, understand the impact that will have on you, and how can you get ahead of it. If you can cut certain expenses, cut them. And if you can actually reevaluate in the sense of having the discussion with your staff, having a game plan, give them the form of assurance that there is a game plan. That's what should be happening. Not ignoring the problem and not saying, but more people have died from the flu. That doesn't work anymore due to the fact that there's a massive financial implication worldwide. Countries are going under lockdown. Travel restrictions are in play. Certain countries are saying when you arrive, you've got to go into quarantine. These are things that have never been done in the flu, with flu. So there you got to understand that. Don't use that. I understand what you're saying, so many people, but remember what the financial implication is. Understand what it's going to do to you. How is it going to hurt you? And if it doesn't, well done to you. Well done. Then this video isn't for you. This video is for people to get ahead of themselves. They can understand and not be the type of people that are going to end up panicking and worrying what is going to happen tomorrow. And I wish and pray for each and every one that we get through it. I wish for everyone to be able to have great health and that, but I know that is impossible because we can see it every day. People's healths are being affected. The elderly is being affected. Financially, people are being affected. We're hearing about retrenchments. We are hearing about cuts. We are hearing about people being put onto short. And I know that what I wish and what will happen is two different things. So I got to accept that we are living in different times and things have changed. So please, don't cut yourself off from the information. Understand how the information can help you so you can get ahead of it, so that you're not one of those people that end up panicking. It's just a question of time when it's going to hit us. It's happening all over the world. It is not a unique thing to South Africa. It isn't something that we should be pointing fingers and that. It is happening all over the world. It's how we best control this. How do we make the impact not affect us as much as what it should? And that's basically the long and the short. It's coming. Question of time when and how hard is it going to hit you? And that is what we need to accept and understand. And we will beat this. We will come out on top at the end of the day, because we have so many clever people all over the world working on this problem. So we got to stay positive, but we got to be clever. We got to understand the information. We got to work with this information. We got to prepare ourselves. and we need to understand how we're going to get ahead of this. We will beat it. Save your money, kill debt, and don't panic. But there comes a fourth one, which is the most important above those three. Look after your health, because without health, you're not going to be able to do those things. And those things affect your health if you don't plan correctly. Thank you, everyone. If you're enjoying these clips, subscribe. I will keep on giving the information and put out your comments there. And once again, we pray for each and every one of you, and we will survive.